You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Where's his notes? It's not an attachment here. I want to see his notes. So anyway, I can look at my notes, right? It's a question. I think I have times written down here. Okay, so yeah, after we had told the officers it was the 100 wing, we were there. I was up there for maybe another 2 to 3 minutes. More officers were pouring in, and officers were talking about what we need the squad here to do. Victims, whatever. And that's when his boss, Shannon, said, hey, look, get down there, shut off the elevators. When I went down, I started to shut off the elevators. I remember guests were coming into the elevator rooms, and I was telling them, look, we have a situation upstairs, just need you to stay down here. And that was in between that time. JP says, okay. Shuck says, yeah. JP says, and then you and another one of your partners go to the service elevator because your supervisor needs his keys back. Shuck says,
yes.
Good job, Brian.
I didn't need to be there either.
You didn't, yeah. Well, and he's got notes, so hopefully the cops or the attorney somehow have asked for his notes.
Right.
So anyway, JP says, so you go back up the service elevator, which is 200 wing. You walk up with your hands up. Remember, he comes out with his hands up.
Right.
And you give your keys, or you give the keys back to Shannon, your supervisor. Shuck says,
yes.
Good job, Brian.
Thanks.
JP says, and at that time when you arrive back, do you know the approximate time? He says, do you know the approximate time lapse? Shuck says, the time lapse? I had to have been 5 to 6 minutes before we got back up there. We shut down the elevators fairly quick, especially with his help, which we don't know who the other person was, okay? Because remember, he just said him and another guy did this. We don't know who the other guy was.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to have to put him down as omitted, number 250.
Right.
So, and then we walked through the Four Seasons valet. He says, not valet, their bell service area. That's where the 200 wing service elevator basement level is. So he was on the basement level doing this with some other dude. Was he saying we did that? We walked through there. Who's we?
Right.
I didn't know there was another person. Maybe it's the engineer he was talking about earlier that left his cart up on the 32nd floor as well, and later asked him, hey, could you get my cart? No, sorry. Both of our carts are probably in room 134 right now.
Yes. Right? Yeah.
All right. So anyway, JP says, so when you made it back up the second time to give Shannon, I suppose, because it says S on here. Thank you, blacked out guy. Give Shannon back his keys. How many Metro officers were there?
God bless America.
Shuck says, yes, more had shown up. I can't even give you the exact number because guests were out at that time too. JP says, okay. Shuck says, guests in the couple guests ran out in the 100 hallway, 10 to 12 in the elevator room, which we saw that video.
Right.
But those elevators were shut off. JP says, were there any, when the guests started running down, were there any Metro officers down the 100 hallway towards 135? Shuck says, yes, I believe so. I think some had made their way down there. I didn't look down there. I didn't want to get in the way. Well, of course they were down there. They were clearing rooms, dude.
Right. I thought he was actually in the way.
Jeez.
From the video.
JP says, sure.
Yeah.
Shuck says, whatever. JP says, I understand. Shuck says, I was just trying to help, and with all those guests, there was just too many people in and out, and the officers had other things to focus on. So I believe some had made it down there and were like stopped. They weren't going any farther. Yeah, they cleared half the hall.
Right.
That's why you got 10 to 12 people sitting in the elevator area. He says, I remember the officer saying, what's he doing laying on the floor? And one of the officers was in the 100. So we know he was there at that time.
Right.
Because his story syncs up with the video.
With the video.
And then remember, halfway, when they stopped clearing the rooms halfway, there was a guy that made his way there in BDUs and laid on the floor.
Sure. I can set up here. If you guys want that.
Right? So you got a couple guys laying on the floor.
Right.
Okay, so we know he was there at that point.
Yeah.
JP goes, mm-hmm. Shuck says, laying on the ground, and the woman detective was like, well, we didn't say she was a detective. Who said she was a detective? Okay.
Yeah.
So the woman detective was like, that's not a good spot to be in. And that's one of the details I remember. No, you remember a lot of freaking details, dude. Black shirt, long pants,
short sleeves,
around 40 years old. Okay.
vest, middle-aged.
So anyway, JP says, do you remember if someone went and got him? What do you mean? Shuck says, I don't know. Someone may have yelled at him, get up, but I'm not sure. JP says, were people running past him at that point? The one that was laying down on the ground? Shuck says, guests or officers? JP says, guests. Shuck says, I don't know. JP says, well, how about officers? Shuck says, I don't know, not yet. JP says, okay. I mean, we got all that on video. Shuck says, I remember another officer came up and he kind of had like 3 to 4 guys with him. And he said, I need someone to get me to that staircase. Okay, so this is interesting because this is actually on the video later on. All right, it says, I need somebody to get me to that staircase. And that's one of our armed security took him away. And I don't know where they went from there. I think those were the ones that, I don't know, went into the staircase. I wasn't there.
Have these rooms all been evacuated? They are all the way down to the first one. Is that person injured? A little bit more than halfway. Oh, that's one of your guys.
He's laying, he's ready to shoot, but that's a really bad
The room
spot.
that you see, the double doors at the very end.
Uh-huh.
The double door went right out.
So the big sweet one.
Do you know what room number is that? 135.
Did the bullet make it down here?
One of the security guys got hit in the leg. Alright, so you guys probably need to clear out. Where's the shield?
Gee, why is he laying on the ground like that? That's a bad idea.
Hey, tell them they need to get those ropes. They need to bust those doors down.
I would say you think so.
Already open? Okay.
What we need to do is hold this hall
We're just holding it.
until the green guys get here.
Swag it.
Now, are they aware of all this at dispatch?
That's what I don't really know. We can't tell them we got it locked down.
Okay. Hold on.
I'm gonna go to a different channel and talk to them.
I'm calling our console, Sarge.
At least you know when it's coming out.
We need to know if more shots coming out.
Sarge, let him know he's got a belt fed.
You know the second shooter though?
We're thinking only one.
One room? He can step out of the way of the hallway so that.
Yeah, it'd probably be best, because that ammo he's using is going to go right through that wall. And me. I got rifle plates, so. I do. So they're supposed to stop everything you can put at them, so if all else fails, just human shield. Some female took one right in the dome.
Those elevators are not locked down.
The officer?
I don't know if it's an officer or not, but somebody took
There
one.
were some people that got shot in the chest. They sure
Yeah.
out there, but I
You gotta be able to get you guys up, so you let those open, these are locked up.
was under the impression that
And these are open over here too. Over there, is there a top over there? We got our security here.
20.
What do you say?
21.
Have we cleared these rooms? He's been checked.
He's been patted.
Out of here, dude.
Straight down this way to the stairs.
SWAT coming.
SWAT's coming up, guys. Guys, zebra's coming up. All the way straight at the end. Apparently he's belt fed, fully automatic. He's fired one round out, they think, through the peephole, hit the security guard in the leg. We already have people down there to contain the door.
Stairs down that direction?
Yeah.
There are stairs through the people. Okay, he fired through the door, through the people.
Right. So there are stairs that are right next to his room, but he has not taken them.
They're barricaded. They bolted them shut.
Okay, so
Those double doors.
that is a suite. It's a 2-bedroom suite. Yeah.
Listen, guys.
Straight down that hallway to the stairs.
Officer down there. So, unless we're start moving, we gotta contain it, right?
Right.
Contain right now. Who's laying on the floor? Formulated.
Some of our guys that were here, when they found out, they just hit the deck and stayed placed.
Somebody in the stairwell on that.
That stairwell is locked down, Sarge. They've already bolted it closed.
Hey.
Which direction is this face?
This is, yeah.
Space in north.
And
When
so
you
that's
go, when you go in, you've got a living room area,
okay, that's
and then on the left or the right. Well, you go into the main room, and then either left and right, you've got bedrooms on both sides.
Is there any way that you guys can get somebody to bring us up like a schematic or a floor plan of that room?
Yeah.
Because they're going to want it.
We don't have,
No one has like a picture or like some kind of a floor plan?
Are we aware that he has taken victims down here?
We have no idea. No idea.
Fired 2 rounds through it.
Right.
I thought there was security. What's the last time we got shot?
We had a security officer that got hit. That was the last shots fired. That was probably 25 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. And he's gone. He's in the back.
We haven't had zero contact.
Zero contact since.
And he fired through the door.
Fired through the peephole, they think, and hit the security guard.
What about the rooms? Are they all evacuated?
Most of them are evacuated.
Who was in the hallway laying down?
One of us. Don't know who it is.
Whoever that is.
He's an idiot.
Get up out of there.
If you want to yell at him, he'll probably listen to you more than he will me.
Get him out of the hallway and get him on cover. There you go. Take cover in that doorway.
Get out of the goddamn hallway!
Guys, hey.
Fucking
Any
moron.
way we can shut the lights down on this floor?
I don't have time right now.
I need that to happen now. There's no lights shut down.
No.
on the floor.
Zebra units are requesting you get out of the hallway. Get him out of the hallway.
We just can't shut one wing down.
He's just going to do whatever he wants, so that's cool.
I'm throwing down.
Okay, now we got a sergeant en route. Try to get some fucking control over this shit.
The breakers are gonna be in the hallway. The breakers will be in the hallway.
Oh. I'd like to bend over, but all this shit's making it impossible. All this shit, let's go on this. Thank you.
Can you show me? What floor are the breakers on?
Somebody else make sure that getting that.
34 breakers down?
That's all we have. I'm gonna move up there because it's so thin, okay?
Yeah, he's just first arriving. Right. Did I get your master key?
We have one, the blue.
It's the blue. It's the blue.
They have one up there already. They have one up there already.
Yes, it'll open all doors.
The blue thing.
It's like almost 100%. I mean, you could. Hey, is everybody beeping right now? Make sure your shit's beeping. Probably. I just wish I could have fucking grabbed my helmet when that rifle fire started going, dude. Hey, good job, good run, by the way. We couldn't have been. We couldn't have been in a worse position, man. Could not have been in a worse position. No, I agree. I agree. Did you hear home at 11? There's up to 2419 already.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Route 91 festival across the street from here. That music festival, you know where they do the American Ninja Warrior sometimes? It's directly across the street from Mandalay Bay, big open lot.
Or they have fence.
I never come down here.
Neither do I, unfortunately. Well, we can't because they're in front of us.
No, I didn't.
Oh, they better. They better eviscerate that door.
Is your camera on, dude? Make sure it's on.
Oh, it's beeping. That's why I was asking if everybody's beeping.
You better make sure it's on, dude.
You put that shit on.
Make sure we're on this call, because it's crazy. Hey, who got this? Who got this?
Front desk.
Who got front desk? Security officer working on it now.
Hey, I need to get down to the next level so I can get to those stairs.
So did you?
Okay, now we probably down this way, or that way it's the
This sergeant's rifle that went down that hall.
Yeah. You want more plates or you good? Capital party? One day I didn't film.
32. Hey, Cosby, stop. Stop for you on 32. They're calling for the zebra unit on 32. We're on 32.
No, the radio.
Oh, my bad. Staircase to your left.
Cool.
It's gonna be one door. Second door.
Yeah, Metro, we're here. Yeah. We're going to,
Down one. We just cleared. We're going down. No, I need come with. They're going down. We're coming up underneath. Down with the stairs.
we're going to go with this.
Those were the ones that I don't know, went into the staircase. I wasn't there. So JP says, okay. This is a tough one to get through because it's so bad.
It is. It is. This is. Wouldn't you agree that this is probably one of the worst testimonies that someone could ever give? I mean, not testimony, the worst law enforcement interview.
Yes.
Okay, good answer. Good answer. You can't handle the truth.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.